Welcome back, viewers. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Beyond World is One. My name is Diksha Bisla, and let's get started with the headlines. Russia claims to have captured a village in Ukraine's Sumy region in a rare cross-border advance. The village is close to Russia's Kursk region. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu departs for a Washington visit. He's set to meet President Donald Trump tomorrow. Israel releases fresh video, claims to have struck Assad regime assets in Syria, says it is conducting raid on Syrian outpost. Prime Minister Narendra Modi takes a dig at Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin amid the ongoing language row. Says that although he received several letters from Tamil Nadu leaders, none of them bear their signatures in Tamil. Pope Francis makes his first public appearance at the Vatican since being discharged from the Gemelli Hospital 2 weeks ago. Greets crowds from a wheelchair in St. Peter's Square.
Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei puts country's armed forces on high alert in the wake of US President Donald Trump's threats against Iran. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia's deadly attack on Kyiv shows Moscow's unwillingness to end the war, seeks President Trump's intervention as toll rises to 90 in the last 2 days.
Madame Le Pen, vous allez faire quoi, s'il vous plaît?
French far-right leader Marine Le Pen, facing mounting political pressure at home after being barred from polls by the court, says she will fight back like Martin Luther King. This as her supporters say democracy is in question. Severe flooding sweeps through Congo's capital Kinshasa, submerging streets and homes in the city's first major deluge of the year. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates Pamban Bridge, India's first vertical lift rail sea bridge in Tamil Nadu's Rameswaram, says it will benefit the state with trade, tourism and jobs. India celebrates the festival of Ram Navami with great fervour, marking the birth of Lord Rama. Thousands of devotees offer prayers at Ayodhya's iconic Sri Ram Janmabhoomi temple. Parachutist in a pre-match display caught on the roof of the Stadium du Toulouse Champions Cup rugby game delayed after aerial performer gets trapped on the edge of the roof, reducing his blue and white parachute in tatters.
I hope that the United States and Europe can establish a very close partnership. We obviously are, there's an alliance already, but I'm hopeful that there can be a very close relationship with America and Europe. And I'm hopeful, for example, with the tariffs, that at the end of the day, I hope it is agreed that both Europe and the United States should move, ideally, in my view, to a zero tariff situation, effectively creating a free trade zone between Europe and North America. That would be that's what I hope occurs.
Starlink, Tesla,
the mass immigration is insane and will lead to the destruction of any country that allows unfettered mass immigration. That country will simply cease to exist. At the end of the day, it is a numbers game, a numbers situation.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
The Florida Senate passed a bill that would ban weather modification projects, which have been called chemtrails by some conspiracy theorists who believe these efforts are for nefarious purposes, undisclosed to the general public. This measure aims to prohibit the release of chemicals or substances into the atmosphere with the intent of altering the climate, and would set up a system where reports of such activities are directed to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection for further investigation. Under the bill, individuals or corporations engaged in geoengineering or weather modification could face third-degree felony charges, with penalties of up to $100,000 in fines. Aircraft operators or controllers found in violation could be fined up to $5,000 and face up to 5 years in prison. The legislation's sponsor, Republican State Senator Ileana Garcia of Miami, argues current weather modification activities lack regulation at both the state and federal levels, and cited concerns about various geoengineering techniques, including rock weathering, solar radiation modification, and cloud seeding as reasons for legislative action. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says he's in favor of the bill, and his state will not, quote, indulge this nonsense.
And people got a lot of kooky ideas that they can get in and put things in the atmosphere to block the sun and save us from climate change. We're not playing that game in Florida.
The debate over geoengineering has been fueled by conspiracy theories surrounding so-called chemtrails, with some believing these activities are actually the government deliberately spraying harmful chemicals or bioagents into the atmosphere. Although these claims have been debunked by scientists, skepticism regarding weather modification persists, as studies have shown that 60% of online discussions about geoengineering are centered around conspiracies. Legislation similar to Florida's has also been introduced in Alabama, and Tennessee passed a ban on the release of airborne chemicals in early 2024. The Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has also voiced support for state-level bans on geoengineering.
Now, Israeli strikes this week hit 3 Syrian air bases that were scoped out by Turkey to deploy forces as part of a planned joint defense pact. The bombardment signals the risks of a deepening rift between two powerful regional militaries over Syria. Islamist rebels have installed a new government in Syria after toppling former leader Bashar al-Assad in December. The Islamists replacing Assad have alarmed Israel, which is wary of an Islamist presence on its border, and has lobbied the United States to curb Turkey's growing influence in the country. The Israeli strikes on 3 sites that Turkey was assessing came despite Ankara's efforts to reassure Washington that a deeper military presence in Syria is not extended to threaten Israel. Ankara is a long-time backer of opposition to Assad. It is now positioning to play a major role in the remake Syria, including with a possible joint defense pact that could see new Turkish bases in central Syria and the use of Syria's airspace. In preparation, Turkish military teams in recent weeks reportedly visited the T4 and Palmyra air bases in Syria's Homs province and the main airport in the Hama province. The regional intelligence official said Turkish teams evaluated the state of the runways, hangars and other infrastructure at the bases. The official also said that strikes at the T4 airbase destroyed the runway, tower, hangars and other planes that were grounded, adding that it was a tough message that Israel won't accept the expanded Turkish presence. Turkey Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan has said that his country wants no confrontation with Israel in Syria, and the ministry has called Israel the greatest threat to regional security.
Simmering tensions between China and Taiwan have reached boiling point, sparking fears of a military confrontation that could engulf the entire Asia-Pacific region. In a significant development in the Taiwan Strait, the People's Liberation Army, PLA's Shandong aircraft carrier recently took an alternative route to the east of Taiwan. This unexpected maneuver has raised eyebrows among defense analysts who believe it was a strategic move to simulate countermeasures against nearby U.S. warships. Experts also suggest that Shandong's route was not just about showcasing naval power, but also aimed at exploring alternative maritime pathways. These routes could prove critical in a conflict over Taiwan, highlighting China's growing focus on enhancing its naval readiness in the region. China's first domestically built aircraft carrier, the Shandong, conducted joint military exercises with its naval and aerial units in the waters southeast of Taiwan. The drills that took place on Tuesday and Wednesday were aimed at assessing the capabilities of PLA's integrated operations both inside and outside the island chain. This week's drills are the biggest since February, when Taipei-said China staged a live-fire combat drill with aircraft and warships off the island's south. Beijing had rejected the claim at the time, calling it pure hype from Taiwan over PLA's routine training. The escalation comes after U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the U.S. will ensure deterrence across the Taiwan Strait and called Beijing aggressive. China opposes U.S. support for Taiwan that Beijing insists is part of its own territory and has threatened to use force to bring it under its control.
Trump's threat to bomb Iran if it developed nuclear weapons triggered an angry reaction from Tehran. The commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, Hossein Salami, warned that Iran is prepared for war, but will not be the first one to start the war. On the ground, the United States deployed its second THAAD batter to Israel a day ahead of Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's visit to the United States. The first batter was rushed to Israel last year, and around 100 U.S. troops are deployed to operate the system. THAAD is a U.S. missile defense system that intercepts ballistic missiles at ranges up to 200 kilometers and altitudes up to 150 kilometers. It uses hit-to-kill technology for precise explosive-free impact, backed by powerful X-band radar with 1,000+ kilometers range. THAAD is mobile, fast to deploy, and used by U.S. allies in regions like South Korea and the UAE. The commander-in-chief of the Revolutionary Guard said that Iran is not worried about U.S. threats. He added that Iran is ready for America's psychological operations and military actions and will not back down from a war. Meanwhile, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi rejected direct negotiations with the United States and said that it is meaningless to negotiate. He also accused the United States of making unnecessary threats and violating the United Nations Charter. The latest developments follow the U.S. President's warning to Iran that it will face military action if it does not agree with the United States on the nuclear deal. In his first stint as the U.S. President, Donald Trump pulled out of Iran's nuclear deal in 2018. After returning to office, Trump in early February restored his maximum pressure policy on Tehran, arguing that it is too close to a nuclear weapon.
What Greg Abbott is doing, he will not call the special. Oh, really quick? No, human is illegal. And we don't get it. Donald Trump has got to go. Silence, I will silence your strong.
And I can't believe that he's tanking the economy and he's tanking the government, and it's all being done for him and for Elon Musk and all the billionaires and everybody else. It's not for me, it's not for the people who live in my neighborhood, it's for all of these billionaires. And I'm glad to see so many people came out today. I mean, we need it. I want more people to show up and get him out of office. He's terrible.
I've started to feel like what's at stake is our democracy, and it's important to take a stand and not just silently let it happen.
Hands off means restore what we've had as a democracy. And so it's being touched in the most dangerous ways. In fact, when we were making our poster and we were saying what to have hands off, we had trouble limiting the list. The list got so long.
Everything he represents, it's like if you took the worst of America and shoved it into one body, it would be Donald Trump.
He's a horrible, small-minded person who is easily maneuvered. And the people who are maneuvering him are very, very, very dangerous. And he's very dangerous, but he's a small-minded and not, frankly, very smart person.
President Donald Trump's tariffs could threaten weapons manufacturing and hinder the country's ability to sustain international alliances. According to a new report from Politico, Trump's global tariff plan, which includes 20% on imports from the European Union to 10% on the UK and Australian goods, is on track to complicate global supply chains, raise the price of weapons, and interfere with international efforts to resist China, including joint ventures with other countries. Multiple diplomats, lawmakers, and defense industry analysts say America's approach to work alone, combined with wider threats, may lead to partners looking elsewhere for collaboration, with one NATO country diplomat adding, "We have requirements and we're going to do what makes sense for us. We're really looking at what we need to develop at home." Trump says his tariff plan is necessary to protect American industries, jobs, and property from unfair trade practices, particularly from China. The White House said in its executive order this week announcing the tariffs, the U.S. would need to manufacture parts, quote, without undue reliance on imports for key inputs. In an interview with Politico, former Pentagon acquisition official Bill Greenwalt talked about the repercussions of this, saying there's going to be shortages of supplies, tit for tats, and our allies and other partners are going to retaliate. Some potentially vital supplies are either going to cost a whole heck of a lot more than what they did, or they're just not going to be available. The concern over the impact tariffs could have on weapon production comes as President Trump suggests Iran may agree to direct talks with the United States, despite the intensifying tensions and back-and-forth threats between the two countries.
I think it's better if we have direct talks. I think it goes faster and you understand the other side a lot better than if you go through intermediaries.
The Trump administration has been building up sanctions against Iran, aiming to end the country's oil exports, particularly to China. Meanwhile, Russia warned Thursday against attacks on Iran's nuclear infrastructure after President Trump threatened to bomb the country if its government doesn't reach a deal. Russia's foreign ministry spokesperson said external threats to bomb Iran's nuclear energy infrastructure would inevitably lead to far-reaching and irreversible consequences. Earlier this month, President Trump sent a letter to Iran's leader urging Tehran to negotiate over its nuclear program. Iran's foreign minister called the letter a threat, but also said it raised the opportunity for possible negotiations.